Thank you for having me. Can everybody hear me? All right. Are we having fun yet? Yay! Show of hands. Woo! If you got to stand up and move around, get the blood flowing in the lower half, please feel free. I won't be offended. Can I see a show of hands of those in the room who have started a small business? Thought about starting a small business? Keep your hands up. Okay. Want to start a small business? Wow. Yeah. So I'm in good company. You're in good company. Because you may not know this, but veterans are 45% more likely to launch and grow a small business than their civilian counterparts. Veterans are also 10 times more likely to hire other veterans and military spouses than their civilian counterparts. 4 times more likely to succeed than their civilian counterparts, right? Woo! Women-owned businesses, by the way, are the fastest growing startup segment in the world. Did you know that? Okay, well, clearly I'm here to talk about entrepreneurship and the Rosie Network, what we do after Rosie the Riveter, who, by the way, built that ship right there, in case you didn't know that, the USS Midway. Let me tell you first a little bit about myself. Thank you, thank you. Appreciate that. I'm always getting booed off or honked off the stage. So, a little bit about myself. I grew up in the military. My father was a Vietnam veteran. He retired here in California, started a small business, which I then proceeded to run for him after school and on the weekends. It's kind of where I caught my entrepreneurial bug, if you will. I married into the military. My husband is retired admiral, started his career right here at Buds, spent 30 years in the SEAL teams, recently retired. I've raised children in the military. I'm a mom. And I'm an entrepreneur. So not necessarily in that order of importance, mind you, but don't tell my husband I said that. Sometimes I think I'm a mother and entrepreneur first, right? So entrepreneurship and what the Rosie Network does for our veteran and military spouse community right here in San Diego. Like most good entrepreneurial ideas, it started out of a need. In this case, it was my need. My husband was deployed at the time, and I was alone with our 2 kids when I needed a plumber. How many military spouses do we have out in the audience? Some. So is it or is it not true that when our service members are deployed, that's when things break and go wrong, right? Whoa. So that's what happened to us. Suddenly I have a swimming pool in our laundry room, which our 10-year-old thought was way cool, Mom. So I needed a plumber. I, like a lot of others, went on Angie's List and Craigslist to try to find a plumber. However, I wanted to hire a veteran-owned business, right? There are over 2 million of them in this country, but I couldn't find one. Angie's List didn't have it, Craigslist didn't have it. I didn't want someone out there that I wasn't familiar with. I wanted a veteran, but there wasn't a way to find them. So I thought, the hell with it, I'm gonna build the way to find it. And that's what we did. We developed the military version of Angie's List. It's called Rosie's List. You can search it today, find veteran and military spouse-owned businesses across the country. When we launched in 2014, we might have had 500 businesses on our network. Today, we're the largest, thank you again. Have one on me, guys. We are the largest database of its kind in the country. Okay? We are also the only database that verifies military affiliation. So when you go on rosieslist.org and you find a plumber, you know that we've done our due diligence and you know you are patronizing a veteran-owned business. Did you know that 70% of American consumers would prefer to buy from a veteran or a military spouse? So if you launch a business, 70% of consumers are already looking for you. So we provided the way for them to find you. Before we launched Rosie's List, we actually spent 6 months interviewing, surveying, and doing focus groups with hundreds of veteran-owned businesses all around the country. And what we learned was we needed to do more than just feature these businesses to consumers and other businesses, right? We needed to do more. Veterans were getting out, and as we know, gravitating towards starting their own business. They saw that as their next mission. They didn't want a traditional employment, traditional job. I call it the battlefield from being behind a desk syndrome. They wanted to create their own future and be their own boss. And that's what we do, we help them. So we determined that we needed to do more. So how could we do that? And on every entrepreneur's path, there comes a moment when you realize, hey, I'm actually doing something right, that pivotal moment. Or, oh, wow, I am really messing this up. My pivotal moment happened here in San Diego. My husband was the Commodore of Group 1, and we had just gotten a tour of some new military housing here in San Diego. As we're leaving the office, I noticed a crowd of at least 50 service members, spouses, and kids standing along the sidewalk in the housing development. And I turned to the housing manager and said, wow, what's going on? Looks like a party. And where was our invitation? Turns out, her answer floored me. She said, no, Mrs. Brown, that's actually the line for the free bread truck. I said, free bread what? She goes, that's the truck that delivers free food to military families all throughout San Diego twice a month. I didn't know that. Did you? Did you know that 1 in 5 of active duty military families in San Diego qualify for food subsidies? Well, I walked up and introduced myself to this young military spouse, right? 2 kids in tow, running all over the place. And I got to talking to her and she shared her story with me. Her husband was deployed. It was his 3rd deployment. They had moved half a dozen times. She had a college education, but couldn't find a job. Hello, I've been there. I know what that feels like, right? There's a bug flying around in front of my face, sorry. 30% of military spouses today are unemployed. 80% of them want or need to work to help support their families. Entrepreneurship is offering the opportunity for them to do that, and that's one of the things the Rosie Network is all about, okay? So as she shares her story, she's unemployed, obviously they're struggling. Hello, she's standing in line for the free bread truck. I realized, she started to tell me that she had started her own business, couldn't find a job, wasn't willing to accept that as a solution, started her own business with no money, nothing. She didn't even have a computer, right? She launched and was running her business using a computer at a library. Who here has that sort of determination? Hello? Military spouses, women veterans, that's who. I decided, wow, we need to do more than that. We can do better than that. We need to help her. We need to help others like her. So as an organization, we began working with her. We mentored her. We helped her develop a strategic business plan. We started making introductions. First, we got her a computer and a printer. With that, we sat back and watched her business grow. So here she goes from running her business at a library to now she has a computer, now she has an office, now she has a support team, now she has professionals, attorneys volunteering their time, helping her launch and grow her business. Today, guess who makes more money? Her or her husband, who's still active duty? If you said her, you'd be right. She makes more money than he does. She actually employs 4 military spouses with portable careers all over the country, right? If we can make that kind of impact for one military spouse or woman veteran entrepreneur, just imagine what we can do if we have all the resources that we need. San Diego has one of the highest concentration of veteran-owned businesses in the country. This is the place to do it. So we opened, as an organization, San Diego's very first military entrepreneur development center, servicing just veterans, just military spouses, shared office space, accelerator program. It is free. So all of you who raised your hand saying that you're interested in starting a small business, where do you go for support? Where do you go to sit and talk to an attorney and learn about what type of business should I start? Where do you go to learn about cybersecurity? Where do you go to learn about human resources? Where do you go to learn about just every piece and component to being successful as an entrepreneur? You can come to us, the Rosie Network, and use our Military Entrepreneur Development Center, right? Be a part of our Service to CEO program. It's a 12-month training program. We provide you with just about everything you need. You still have to run the business. We're not going to do that for you, but we're going to give you the tools and the resources you need to be successful and be your own boss. We've provided no-cost services to over 300 veterans and military spouses since opening our doors July of last year. We're looking to double that number next year. As was mentioned, we were just featured on Fox News. We are all about raising the conversation and letting consumers and companies know that you guys are out there. And by the way, you know, if you yourself are shopping for a present, looking for a handbag, you can find our Riveter. I don't know if they can hear me in the back. Who's gone over and sit there waving? 2 military spouses who started their own business off a dining room table, right? Kids are napping. What are we going to do? I have a master's degree in business management and marketing and I can't get a job. Well, yeah, hello, I'm going to create my own future. I'm going to create my own destiny. I don't want to work for somebody else that did it, right? So that's the Rosie Network. And obviously my takeaways, as I'm wrapping up my time here, my takeaways for those of you that want to be entrepreneurs or interested in doing it, right? Obviously, we've heard network. You know, come to our center, network with other veterans, other military spouses that are doing it, okay? Determine for yourself how you define success, right? We all can't be Mark Cubans. In fact, I don't think the world is ready for more than one Mark Cuban, right? I've worked with veterans who looked at me and said, oh my God, I just want to make enough money so I can make the next car payment. Right on, we'll help you do that, okay? Define success for yourself, okay? And I look at entrepreneurship as you're driving a bus. You're the driver. No one is going to be more passionate and determined about your business success than you are. Nobody. Deal with it. No one else is going to be as determined and committed as you are. However, you are going to have to fill seats on your bus. Fill those seats with people that complement your strengths and weaknesses. These are just my business tips, ladies and gentlemen. That and a nickel will probably get you a Happy Meal. So anyway, that's lastly my number one thing, my message that if you walk away with nothing else, I hope that if you start a business, if you're interested in this incredible, fantastic, challenging journey, right, of being your own boss, the number one thing I would tell you is bring value. Bring value, okay? And I'm not talking about creating a $1.99 widget made in China, right? I can go to Walmart and buy that. I'm talking about bringing value to your customer, right? Bringing value to your community. If you're going to be a part of the business community, what value do you bring? Really quick, last story. I love coffee. In fact, I've probably had more coffee than half of you in this room together, just today. Coffee is important to me. I could buy it at Starbucks. I don't. I buy my coffee, I have it shipped to my home, and I have it shipped to my office from a former Army Ranger and his wife who started a business called Lock and Load Java. Highly recommend you find them, okay? Price comparison to Starbucks, it's a little more expensive. Right? It's a little more expensive. The coffee is a hell of a lot better. That makes me happy. But what really makes me happy is that when I know that for every pound of coffee that I buy, Lock and Load Java is sending coffee to deployed troops all around the world. Okay? That's value. It's a value for me, to me as a consumer, and it's value to me as a military spouse, and that they're supporting our military community. Thank you. Hopefully, I've inspired a few of you to get out there, start your own business, be your own boss. If not, I apologize. Mark Cuban will be out shortly. I will be here. Please look us up, therosienetwork.org. Okay, thank you again.